Welcome to the Fandom Fusion podcast. I'm Lauren, and as promised, I'm going to be doing the Marvel episode today. To be honest with you, I knew I had to film it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be my longest video ever on the channel. A little bit of background: I've decided this is going to be one of my views or one of my setups for my podcast. I had a few when I have guests in, usually like over there with the background being the rest of my room. Or I've had this one in the most recent episode, and then my first two episodes were filmed in a completely different place. But I quite like this setup. The lighting's quite nice, and the posters in the back are very, very on theme for today. I'm going to cover a few things, such as my favourite movies, my favourite TV shows from Marvel, when I started being a fan of Marvel, when I first got introduced to Marvel, and just overall my experience of being a fan and my opinions. So you might not agree with my opinions, which is completely fine. But yeah, just put out there my opinions of Marvel of my favourite ones. So I'm just going to start with how I got into Marvel. I was introduced to Marvel through an old friend of mine who recommended the first Iron Man movie to me, and I'd never really thought about me being a fan of Marvel. It was just never really something that I was interested in or looked into. Obviously, I saw it on every social media platform, but I didn't really think it'd be something that I personally would enjoy. I am a fan of Star Wars, and so I kind of had a little bit of hope for Marvel, thinking, okay, so I'm part of that big fandom there. So maybe if I give this one a chance on it, I'll enjoy it just as much, if not more. So I remember I watched the first Iron Man movie, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It was exciting, I guess, and I thought this is something that I could actually get into. I think starting with that one, obviously, people start in different, with different movies when it comes to Marvel. They could start chronologically, or some people just pick random movies that they've seen. I feel like for a lot of people, Endgame was probably their first movie because there was so much hype around that in 2019 when it came out. People just probably think, okay, I'll just go to the movies and watch that and see what it's all about. But yeah, for me, I watched it on Disney Plus. Watched Iron Man on Disney Plus. That was the first one, and then from that point onward, over time, I watched every single movie and every single show that has basically been created. So that starting point with first Iron Man for me, like I said, it was exciting, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna carry on with this, and I'm gonna watch the rest. So once I watched Iron Man 1, I watched Iron Man 2 and 3 as well. And then I sort of looked further into the Marvel section on Disney Plus and went through and picked the ones that I thought looked good. I remember being a huge fan of Thor. That movie, absolutely love it. I enjoyed all the characters in it. I liked that part of it because obviously with Iron Man, it's more like the human part with the arc reactor and his suit. Whereas with Thor, it was like the gods, and I think that difference just like made me think, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna carry on with this. Like I'm really, really, I'm stuck with this now, and I'm gonna watch the rest of them. So it got to the point where I'd watched every single Marvel movie and show that there was on Disney Plus. And this was back in the times where the original six Avengers were on that section of Disney Plus. So if you click on the Marvel part, then the six originals will be on there. And I just, that was like, the original people out there, the original fans out there know that that was it. It's obviously changed since then, but I'd do anything to go back to that. To be honest with you, my top three probably changes every time I rewatch Marvel movies, if I'm being honest. But for me, Civil War is actually one that sticks out to me because just the whole premise of that and what led to it, and also the events afterwards. That's why that's one up there for me. No Way Home is definitely another one. I think that universal experience of going to the movies and watching that possibly on the night it came out, I did. Getting tickets for that was mayhem. Um, but yeah, I think the universal experience of everybody going to the movies and watching that on when it released, and the cheering when Toby and Andrew were in it, I think that for me is something that I I have to put that movie up there because of that. Because it was such a fun experience going into the cinema and watching like all the like there was people dressed as Spider Man in like my local cinema, which I never thought I'd see in my entire life. And just the hype for it and all the queues to even get in the cinema on time. And so that one is definitely in my top three. Because it's just I think it all around brought like the Marvel fandom back, especially like the originals. So that's another one of my top three. And then for my third one, I'm gonna have to pick Thor Ragnarok. I know it's a bit more of like a out there fun movie from the others that I've chosen, but I just love Thor Ragnarok. I think because it has like that funnier side of it and the interactions between Thor and Hulk and Loki, obviously, I think for me, it was just one of those movies that I can rewatch over and over again and it won't get boring. The introduction of Hela, the goddess of death, as well, I really enjoyed. Kate Blanchett did an incredible job for that. And just, I think it concludes like the ending. Yeah, like I was saying, it concludes the end of the original Asgard and the the characters basically that we met in Thor 1. And so it just has that nice ending. And it just, for me, it's just a feel good movie that I could watch, like I said, over and over again. And it would be just as good as the first time I watched it. In terms of the TV shows, a few of them I have a love hate relationship with. For example, She Hulk, I watched 2 episodes of and then gave up, which I know some people enjoy it, but for me personally, like in my opinion, like I said, just wasn't for me. I like the fact that Bruce was in it, but on a whole, I couldn't really watch the rest of it, which I know sounds really bad, but it is the truth. Um, so that isn't in my top three for TV shows, but I know my top two without a doubt is Moon Knight and Loki. I adored Moon Knight so much. I've just grabbed two of my Moon Knight Funko Pops because I just love this one. I just love this show, and I think I always will. Just Oscar Isaac's portrayal and just everything about it, the costumes and how he differed himself between the different versions of Moon Knight, and I've got nothing bad to say about that, and I really hope season two comes out. I heard rumors that it is, but I don't know. I want to wait until it's confirmed. And then for me, Loki is probably my favourite, especially after the season two finale. This is a spoiler warning now. I will be talking about the season two finale of Loki. So if you haven't watched it, just skip. I'll put a time here to skip to like not have any spoilers because I don't want to spoil that for anybody who hasn't seen it. So Loki is my favourite Marvel character. I think you can tell um just by those two posters. I made that one, so that's proof. My phone case has him on it, and I have a whole entire section in my room dedicated to only the Loki Funko Pops that I own. So I'm a bit of a fan to say the least. So I had high expectations for the season two finale. But I was also very, very scared. I was very concerned about what was going to happen to Loki. And I'd heard rumours about a Loki Thor reunion, and it never happened. And that did hurt me, but so did the finale. saying that he always had that he's burdened with glorious purpose, and that ending just proved what that glorious purpose was. And he took it upon himself to realize that, you know, the way he can save all the timelines and save all those people is to quite literally take matters into his own hands and become God Loki or God of Stories. I remember that scene when he was saying that he could rewrite the story, and everyone was freaking out a little bit, understandably. And so that ending is bittersweet because he's found his glorious purpose and he's now doing good at the end of time for possibly the rest of time. But at the same time, he's not going to be on our screens probably ever again. Or if he is, hopefully it's in Deadpool 3. I could go and rant on about Deadpool 3 and how excited I am for that, but we're going to leave it at that, otherwise this would be incredibly long. So, like I said, it's just like a bittersweet ending for Loki. And I do hope we get to see Mobius, for example, in the future. I have like a love hate relationship when it comes to Sylvie. I'm gonna be honest. In some ways, she's a good character, and I think she was necessary for the development of season 2, especially. But as a whole, I'm not like a huge fan of her. Like, I wouldn't buy Funkos of her or anything. But yeah, I know a lot of people love her, or a lot of people really don't like her. But I'm just sort of in the middle. Like, she was necessary for the development, but I think some of the choices that were made like weren't really necessary. But then again, that's just my opinion. So, on the whole, those two are my favourite shows. I don't really think. Well, maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier. I did enjoy that one as well. But it's been such a long time since I watched that because I rewatched Moon Knight recently. But it's been such a long time since I watched that that I feel like I couldn't do it justice if I talked about it now. But Bucky is one of my top three, and I think obviously Sam being the new Captain America is just amazing. I'm so excited for that movie to come out. So I do love that movie. So I think those three are definitely my top three for the shows. Just on a final note, I think the Marvel community is something that really like got me into social media because I have a edit account. It used to be dedicated just to Marvel, and I used to post 3, 4 times a day on that edit account, and I used to absolutely love it. And so I do have Marvel to thank for like me really getting in social media and like committing time to it. So that's why Marvel is like such a big part of my life, especially like my entire room is covered in Marvel merch as well, so that adds to it. But yeah, overall, just Marvel for me is a nice fandom to be in. There's some people out there that aren't too nice, but on the whole, I haven't really had that bad of an experience when it comes to the Marvel fandom, which is always nice. And so, yeah, that's it for this video. I will probably do a part 2 about Marvel in the future because I could talk about it for so long, and this is definitely going to be my longest episode. So, kind of suspected that was going to happen. So, let me know in the comments if you do want a part 2 because I could talk more into depth about things. I could also like read into more of the comic based stuff. I do own a few comics myself, but I'm not like really, really knowledgeable about it. I have like really basic understanding about it. So, and I know that's like a big deal for a lot of Marvel fans out there. And so, if anyone wants to see that, I will do my research into it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!